Hello, Internet, hello, and welcome to today's episode of Chatting with the Pros. Today I got KheZu from the clan Vote Gary Johnson 2012. Or is it actually 2016 now? It should be.
Well, yeah, I guess, but we didn't bother changing the name.
Ah, that's sad. Should have. Oh well, so let's get started right away. So, who are you?
My name is Maurice KheZu Gutmann. I'm mostly known for being KheZu in-game. I play the carry for Team Vote, also known as Gary Johnson 2012, and yeah,
Okay then. You're going to DreamHack this week, right?
that's correct. My flight's going on Wednesday morning.
That's great. So, do you think you're gonna win DreamHack? Go on the big stage?
I think we have a pretty good chance of winning. Lately, we haven't really lost any games. We're also in the grand finals for the Hunter qualifier, so I'm pretty confident.
Okay. Any teams you like think it's gonna be difficult to go up against?
Yeah, for sure. Well, pretty much all the good international teams like your Complexity, your Trademark, QSQ, and TT Esports. But the one I'm scared of the most is probably Complexity.
Okay then. Even though they lost against TDM yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, we had some kind of similar strategy in mind with like hardcore pushing, but since they lost to it right now, I don't think they'll lose to it again at DreamHack. I
That's
just
actually
don't see it happening.
that's actually a good point. Oh
Yeah,
well. So you are the carry player for Gary Johnson, right?
that's correct.
So let's talk about carries then. And let's go right in with define what a carry is. So now I got this in here because a carry is like a very interesting role. A very
Hmm.
interesting role. Because you got heroes like Silhouette, Forsaken, I guess Kronos or Madman or something along these lines, which are obviously carries. Like you give them Savage Mace and yay, they deal damage. But then you also got heroes like the Soul Reaper, is a great example
Hmm.
for that, which I guess every high level player considers a carry. But now try explaining a 1400 level player why is he a carry. So just give me a short definition of what a carry exactly is.
Okay, so mostly when you talk about hard carries, that's mostly heroes like your agility carries, like your Silhouette, your Draconis, your Kronos. They're basically heroes who are weak in the early stages of the game, and they need help from their team to get to that mid to late game without losing the game, so that they then have the farm to take over with how you said it with the Savage Mace, for example. But then you have your heroes like Soul Reaper and I guess Defiler, who are those tanky carries. And what kind of makes them carries is that they are hard to kill and they deal lots of damage while being hard to kill. So basically, you have like different types of carries. You could also count Zephyr to like the Soul Reaper and Defiler because he's really tanky too, but he's also considered a semi-carry because you usually get that mock and then he's really hard to kill and deals lots of damage.
Okay. Now, you already touched on it a little bit, but the state of carries. Like,
Hmm.
okay, now this is something interesting. I talked about Yolam. I talked
Hmm.
with Yolam about a little bit about supports, and he told me that he's very happy about the state of the supports
Hmm.
because there are many choices and
Hmm.
they can vary depending on the teams. Now, with carries, right now, it almost feels like all we have got is that Silhouette, Recon is Forsaken. Those
Yeah.
are the three main carries.
Hmm.
Anything else is already a little bit off the wall. So the fact that we saw Zephyr yesterday was like, whoa, what's that all
Yeah.
about? If we see a Soul Reaper picked up, everybody goes like, wow, Soul Reaper, why? Like, Soul Reaper? We haven't seen that one in ages. It seems like
Hmm.
the only reason why teams pick up a hero other than Silhouette, Forsaken, Draconis is that those guys are banned.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the state of the carries? Is it good? Are teams just too scared to pick up another hero, like Kronos, for example?
Okay, so
Or
I have like mixed feelings about this. One, I feel that you mostly only see your Forsaken Silhouette Draconis because they're simply the best choices. Like they're better than the other carries. That's what people think. But as I said, I have mixed feelings about it. For example, I think Moon Queen is a really strong hero too. We play her quite a lot as well, and I think she's just as good as your Silhouette, your Draconis, your Forsaken Archer. Um, I just think teams are a bit too scared and they just stick to what works. But I don't really like the carry state as it is now, because you only have like 3 to 5 heroes that are picked up like in a circle. You have like your Forsaken, maybe a Dark Lady, and your Silhouette and Draconis.
Yes. I personally am not a big fan of it either. Though I have
Hmm.
to say that I think there are some heroes out there that are just not used, like Kronos. I'm the biggest
Yeah, I
fan of
agree.
Kronos.
Kronos, well, I could list some heroes which are, in my opinion, underrated and could be used and are just as good as the ones we have right now. Um,
Go ahead.
I think Kronos is one. Then you could use your Moon Queen. I like Master of Arms as well. Then you could go with Monkey King. I don't like Valkyrie that much, but Madman is also a good choice.
Oh, madman.
Also, Soul Stealer and Tremble. I play Tremble quite a lot, but I also think Arachne could be good. And then there's Corrupted Disciple, but I think he's one of those situational carries. Like if you play versus a heavy magic team, I think he's a really good choice because he's tanky and he just like the longer he stays alive, the more damage he dishes out by stealing damage from your opposing heroes. And I think that's really good versus magic teams because you can just get a shrunken head and you're kind of unkillable.
Yeah. Okay then. Now, when playing a carry, it's kind of interesting because oftentimes if players are asked to play a carry and they don't know how to, the description they get is just farm all game long.
Hmm.
Is it really that simple? Is it really just farm, farm, farm?
That's what people think, but there's a bit more to just farming when you play a carry. Because there's certain things you have to keep in mind when you play a carry. For example, when you're up against a heavy pushing team or a heavy team fighting team, you need to decide yourself if you're gonna help your team in case a push slash team fight happens, or if you keep farming. Like you need to be smart. I'd like to say, like you need to have some sort of brain to know when you should help your team and when you should just keep farming. Like you need to make decisions and you need to choose the right ones, or it could cost you the game very early on.
Okay, you already touched on those decisions, but of like when do I fight, when do I farm?
Hmm.
No, just tell me when do I fight and when do I farm?
Okay, so in my opinion, when you go over to a pushing team and you have the choice or you have the opportunity to take a tower while they take a tower, then obviously you should do that because the longer the game goes on and the more towers you get, the stronger you'll get as a carry. And while they group up as 5 heroes, you get more experience because they're grouping up and your team is probably defending with 4 players and you're still farming. But when you agree as a team that you can win a team fight with them, then you should defend. Or when you know that your opposing team that they used ultimates before they push, then you could take a fight as well. But mainly when you play a carry versus a pushing team, you always want to trade towers because it favors you as the carry team.
But now you're talking about a carry team versus a non-carry team. What if we got two carry teams? Now, and let's just give this like a different mechanic to this. Like
Hmm.
what if let's just I don't know this. I this is just me assuming, but let's say
Hmm.
Silhouette carries harder than Forsaken. Is that
I would agree, yeah.
okay? Now, what if you are playing Forsaken and the enemy has the Silhouette? What do I do now? Do I still stick to the same rules of trading towers, or what's now?
Um, Now I would say it comes down to your team, but just to have a basic, or like just to, since the thing is different now, I think simply because Forsaken is stronger in early team fights than the Silhouette with the ultimate, which is kind of AoE, and the crippling volleys, I think, the Q spell. I then think if you have good enough team heroes, like heroes surrounding the Forsaken, like let's say a Glacius, a Tempest, and like 2 solo heroes that are decent in team fights, then I think you should rather go for the team fights unless you can push faster than the team that Silhouette is in.
Okay. So let's just cut the whole carry thing down to a single rule. What's the
Hmm.
most important rule for any carry player?
The most important rule for throughout the game, or just the most important rule overall?
Just overall, if you had to give like just one rule, you can't just give
Hmm.
a single rule like Noah said, do not die as a support. That's the most important rule. What's the most important rule for a
As a
carry?
carry, it's don't die.
Well, okay, let's go with something different. We already had that one.
Then I'll think. Then I need to think because that was actually my answer going into this.
Oh, okay, so it's the same. No, that's interesting. Do not die.
I I can explain it like a little bit of why I think that is.
Yeah.
Um, especially when, especially lately, I've been playing a lot of one versus two, even when I play hard carries or carries like Tremble and Silhouette. And if you die early on, your GPM will stay around 60, 70, 80 GPM. But when you prevent yourself from dying, you will slowly get back into the game faster. And on top of that, you don't give your opposing team more gold and more lane control. Because let's say I'm playing a Silhouette in the short lane and they have a long lane Pyro Magnus. If I die to them, like they're allowed to move around the map and still win the lane versus me. But if I force them to stay in the lane, they don't get movement, and I'm allowed to recover slowly without dying. It's just really important to not die because it sets you back really, like it sets you back a lot. It You lose gold when you die, unless you're really good with buying as you're dying. And the time when you're dead, you're not allowed to farm, of course, and you lose experience. So not dying is, in my opinion, the most important thing when you play a carry. You need to farm safe. Like you need to have map awareness when you play a carry.
Okay. Well, let's move away from that whole thing a little bit. I want to talk about newer heroes, so especially Solstice, Revenant, and Ugi, since those
Hmm.
three could be considered carries. Now, let me just hear your opinion on those three. Just go ahead, talk. Give me something to work with.
Okay, so Revenor. I think I've played the hero a couple of times in Team M, just with basic support in my lane, like your Glacius or a Luna. And he seems to be really damn strong. And I think they also buffed him in the last patch. Just a little bit, but they did buff him.
Yes.
And I kind of question that because the hero is not in tournament mode yet, but I think he has potential, especially like his first spell. You can do a lot with it because once when you hit it, it's a stun. And the second time, like you can reactivate it if you hit it the first time. And if you time it right, it's lots of damage and a good stun. And like you can like teleport onto them and stun them and get in position. I think the hero is really strong. He's also a decent laner with a stunner together. And he seems to dish out a lot of damage with his ultimate and all his spells together.
The thing I always felt like while playing Revenant, I
Mhm.
I gotta admit, like the day that guy got released, I
Mhm.
actually bought him with early access and I fell in love with him. Like I played him for
Yeah.
20 games straight or something like that. And now this is just my noobish opinion. I'm not
Mhm.
good
Mhm.
at all. But basically, every time I played him, I felt like amazing laner. Like in a lane, if you give him like a
Yeah,
Glacius or something to walk with, he just destroys.
that's
But
true.
once it comes down to like team fights, he just kind of lacks that little bit to actually do something. Like he always
Mhm.
is like one hit away from killing someone. He's always like he only needs 10 more movement speed to catch up to someone, but he's always lacking like that little tiny thing to actually be useful. Is that just me or
No, he's not the perfect hero, but I think he has potential to be used when you have a. I think he's one of those heroes where you need like stuns and slows in your team because it's really hard to hit that ball lightning, his Q by yourself. So I agree with you that he lacks something, but I still think he's a good hero and he's viable whenever he gets into tournament mode, of course.
okay? Now let's move on to Solstice, probably my favorite hero in the game right now, and not only mine. Like that guy gets played in 70% of the games, if I remember correctly.
Whenever I play all pick, I hear Solstice.
Yeah, that guy is great. He's just amazing. By the way,
Yeah.
by the way, just so the world knows, let me point something out. Solstice got nerfed. What? Just what did get nerfed? Her mid potential, not her jungling potential. Who is the one calling Solstice the best mid hero ever since she got released? That guy. This one. Anyways, so what's your opinion on Solstice?
Okay, I think Solstice has a bit too much of everything. He does a lot. Like you can jungle, you can lane, you can dual lane, you can gank, you have a good team fighting, you have farming potential. Like he has a lot going for him. And I think he's a bit too strong. Like the way he jungles while being a ganker is sick, and his ultimate destroys team fights especially. Like when you catch your opposing team off guard with that ulti, it's devastating. So I think the hero in the current state, even after the little nerf, he is still too strong. I like what they did though. I mean, it's a step in the right direction in my opinion.
Yes.
But the hero is also really annoying to play against.
Oh,
Because
definitely.
he comes out of invis and then he like hits you, crits you, gets some lifesteal and then perhaps ultis you and just bursts you with 700, 800 damage early on in the game.
So, about the ultimate. Now, I personally always felt like he's very situational. The ultimate just.
Hmm.
The thing is, again, I played a lot of sources, and every time I play sources, I feel like the
Hmm.
best way to actually use the ultimate is just charge in and use it instantly. Do not channel. Just go in,
Yeah.
burst down the enemy. Is Do you think that's too strong the way it is right now, or is it about the whole channeling thing and then have the full 3 second channel with the 800 burst or something along these lines?
Um, I'm not too sure. I remember when I played Solstice the first times as well. I did it just like you did. I charged in on my opponent and then I used the ulti and I just felt like I would kill them with the charge and the ultimate.
Mm.
Like it felt like you would burst 600 damage without channeling the ulti. I think the ulti does a bit too much damage. Like the ulti is insane if you channel it out of fog, of course. Like if you're
Yes.
like standing behind trees and there's a team fight and you hit 4 players, the team fight is kind of GG unless your opposing team has a Tempest getting 5 people in his ulti.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's very difficult to do. So it's supposed to be kind of like a high risk, high reward thing.
Yeah,
So,
I still think it does a bit too much.
oh, okay. Oh, well then.
Just a little bit. Like I think you could nerf the hero in a few ways, but just a little bit. Like either you could uh nerf his Q by a little bit or his jungling potential by just like a small amount of whatever, like nerf a couple percent of the lifesteal or the bonus damage, just like that, I think will be enough.
Okay. Now, Oogie. I personally love the Zero as well. Like, he is a lot of fun to play.
Hmm.
Now, while playing, I have seen a lot of different Oogie styles, a lot of
Hmm.
different Oogie builds. Um, I personally always like the utility style more. Like, you get a tablet, you get the Gnome system, you
Hmm.
get maybe Storm Spirit, Cheap Stick, something along these lines. I think that works best. But I've also seen like full carry Harkons, stuff like that. You get a point like Harkons. What's it called? This Icon of the Goddess, stuff
So
like
that
that.
owns on him.
So yeah, just tell me a little bit about Ugi. What do you think?
I've like just straight up, I think the hero's overpowered.
Ugi,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Okay. So
interesting.
if he's like one of those I would say snowball heroes. If he has a good start, he comes close to like unkillable.
Yes.
Especially if you have like an early mana ring and Icon of the Goddess. Like I would say, like at around the 13, 14, 15, 60 minute mark, it's so ridiculously hard to kill you. Like when you drop that ulti and you spam like your mana spells and you keep regening health while regening mana because you take damage. It's like the concept, I like it, but it's also weird. It's like, okay, so you lose mana, but you gain HP, and when you lose HP, you gain mana. So it's like a death circle. You will never die unless you get chain stunned, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And I just think he's a bit too strong.
Yeah, especially like if you get a shrunken on him. Well, good luck with that whole chain stunning now.
Yeah. Well, I know a couple of people who said if he doesn't get nerfed when he gets released to tournament mode, they'll quit the game.
Really?
Yeah, some even some competitive players. Shout out to Z Freak.
Oh, okay. I Now this is really surprising to me. I have to admit. Like I expected
Hmm.
something like along these lines on Solstice maybe, but Oogie? I don't ever see that guy. Like, well, I guess I'm.
People don't know his potential yet. I'm sure of that.
And how would you play him? Would you just play him as a hard carry?
I will play him in like some sort of Defiler, Soul Reaper, tank up, and then just be unable to be killed, and just spam your spells.
Yeah.
I remember I played versus a Nymph Oogie lane, and he completely skipped his Q, like the slow thingy, the
Yes.
ground, and he just like he had that thing where he burns mana from himself and deals AoE damage,
Hmm?
and it would just completely own because he constantly gets mana from Nymphora. Like you couldn't go close to him. It was a sick lane. I've never seen something like that before. It's like worse than Nymph Pebbles.
Okay. I am really surprised by this. But I want to know, like, how would you lane him? Would you just, like, with the nymph, have him as a support? Would you even consider
That's
try laning him?
that's a
Just
tough question. I wouldn't try lane him. I think he needs experience.
okay.
But that's why it's a tough question. Because I think he needs experience, but I don't think he's the best solo. I think he's a fine solo, but he might be off the best with like a Nymphora to lane.
Okay.
But then again, I haven't played him a lot, so I can't really say.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Ubi is considered overpowered. Like, that's crazy. No, no, I'm different. I want to see him released in tournament in the state he's right now, just so I get like 10 fun games with Ugi to watch.
And then nerf into the ground.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be the problem. Like knowing S2, they're just gonna nerf him to uselessness.
I hate that. I hope they don't do that with the current heroes,
Yeah.
like your Solstice and whatever.
Well, they are starting off with sources very slowly, so I'm happy about that. Well,
Yeah.
let's now quickly, shortly go into Lightbrand. What do you think about those items? Lightbrand, Dawnbringer, Grimoire of Power.
Okay, so lately I've played a lot of Team M, especially lately, and I am a huge fan of Lightbrand and Dawnbringer and the Grimoire of Power thingy. I think they give a new touch, especially to intelligence carries, like, for example, Puppet Master especially. I think it's gonna help him a lot. Because, like, Dawnbringer, it gives you basically everything you need. It gives you slow, it gives you HP, it gives you movement speed, mana regen, strength, agility, and intelligence.
Yes.
And I think it's gonna be really good on Puppet Master as soon as it gets released to tournament mode. But also just the Light Brand itself and the Fire Brand and the Light Brand, I'm a huge fan of those items. I think they're very well created.
I personally like the Lightbrand on Soul Stealer.
I've played a lot of Soul Stealer with Dawnbringer.
Yes, me too. Like, that just works great. You get the Lightbrand first and
Yeah, it gives you
farm,
so much
farm,
regen.
farm.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know.
Actually, what I did a lot lately with Soul Stealer is I simply go mid, I get my bottle, my steam boots, then I get my Whispering Helm and I stack the Ancients, and then I go Lightbrand into Dawnbringer, and I just ulti the Ancients every single time when they're triple stacked, and just farm all game, and it's so easy to get like 700 GPM. It's really insane.
That's a fun build. I have to
Yeah.
try that. Okay then. So let's just go to the usual last question. Who is the strongest hero in the competitive scene and who's the strongest hero in the pub scene?
Okay. Some people might not agree, but I think the strongest hero in competitive play is Wild Soul when you put him as a suicide. And I have a couple of explanations for that. One is when you put Wild Soul into your suicide lane, you basically win your long lane. Because it's really hard to kill Wild Soul unless the player is like AFK. Like a good Wild Soul player won't die. He will know how to play his lane. And when you look at players like Zai from TDM, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him,
Yes,
but yeah, okay.
yeah.
He, in my opinion, plays the best Wild Soul. And when you give TDM Wild Soul, your chance of winning is about 10%, I would say. Simply because it's hard to kill Wild Soul. He keeps on pulling your lane to his tower, which means he will get a lot of experience and farm. And you're kind of forced to set up ganks on him after 10 to 15 minutes because he gets closer and closer to his mark. And I mean, there's no suicide hero that's as good as Wild Soul. Because once he gets that mock, he turns from this suicide hero that usually has like boots, like when you have a bubbles. He runs around with a mock of brilliance. And it's like, oh, hello, I'm the suicide hero with a mock of brilliance. What's up?
Yes.
I just think he's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay.
And for the public scene, I guess you get that answer a lot. I would say Monkey King.
Yes. Yes.
It's probably the most typical answer.
Yeah, I've heard that multiple times. Like, I definitely. That's actually, if I had to choose a hero, it would probably be Monkey King as well.
Mm.
Mostly because it's impossible for me to actually click on that guy. So, like, what's the
Yeah, it
point?
is. Seriously, it's impossible. You just, I remember I played like Polywog versus him, and he went on me, and I was level 6. I just couldn't hex him.
Yeah, that's
I
that's
tried clicking on him, but it didn't work.
that's the thing. Like, why would you ever get a null stone on Monkey King? Like, you can't use single target spells on a guy anyways. You have to hit
Yeah,
him with AOE. Just like, well, good luck with
yeah,
that.
it's pretty much insane.
Oh well then, thank you for coming on. Do you want to give any shoutouts?
Shout out to my team, of course, Swindlemelon, Seafreaks, KheZu, and Sender. Then shout out to S2, just overall the tournaments and all that they're doing, and flying people out to DreamHack when they win a tournament, for example. I think it's a really good thing to do, because there's some teams who aren't sponsored, like us, for example, and like it would cost us a lot to pay all the flights and stuff. And other than that, shout out to my fans and my girlfriend. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay then, thank you for coming on. And to all the viewers, please don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, if you enjoy these. And the 1v1 will be coming up soon. I will probably get horribly destroyed, so I'm gonna try to do my best. And maybe leave a suggestion on who you want to see next. I'm still planning on getting Bryce on the show, and I also send a message to Chassis, so hopefully that's gonna work out. And I got a promise from Insania that he's gonna come on. So, yes, see you next time.